What is up, buds? Welcome to WeeDnD, the pot-positive live tabletop role-playing experience. I am your host, Brandon Allen McClenahan, and I was born and blazed in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks so much for joining us this week and all the other weeks, and if you're new, welcome in. This is a heck of a party, and we can't wait to share it with you. Big shout outs to everybody who comes week in, week out and kicks it with us in our Twitch chat. You guys are fantastic. It is one of our favorite parts of the week just to hang out with you guys. So thank you so much for all you do. A big super shout out to all the people since we've reached affiliate status that have started subscribing to us, helping us offset some of the costs of the show. And seriously, it means a lot. VTAC, Drum Dude, Director Dude, a lot of dudes. See, the dudes be tipping, hooking up them subscriptions, yo. Pork Chop. Seriously, all you guys that have subbed and gifted subs and everything, with the show, we super appreciate it. It really helps us get all this stuff out here because, believe it or not, marketing is fucking expensive. Let's see, what else we got?
We got raided.
That's right, Isaac. We got raided last week, guys. It was our first raid. Oh, that was wonderful. Thanks again to VTAC, who lined that up, and his bud, who brought the thunder with that. We are accepting all raiders, folks. So bring them all our way, and we'll show them a good time. Some of that Vegas love, baby. All right, guys. So tonight, when we start the show, the Ferocious Five have leveled up to level 5. And if you want to see how we went about and did that, you're going to have to go over to YouTube. Check out the youtube.com/ArtHeartStudios. Double check there. We've got a little YouTube exclusive we are calling Getting Higher with WeeDnD, where we get high and our characters get higher in level. You see what we did? You see what we did there?
You have to explain the joke. It's not funny.
That's true. I did have to explain it, and thus it is no longer funny. So I don't know why I'm trying to be funny. Anyway, we actually happen to have an extremely funny cast, and they're making all kinds of silly faces, so why don't we get to them? Let me give a big shout out to some of my favorite people in the world, the cast of WeeDnD. Brenna Folger, how are you doing, babe? Boom.
Bang, bang, boom. Hi, guys. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited to be back. I love you all so much. I am here to smoke D&D and play weed. Let's do it. Abby, this one's for you.
Yo, hey, howdy, hey, my buds. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Weed, D&D, yeah, let's do it. Here you go, Drew.
Cheers, baby girl. What's up, guys? Drew here, Thoricus. Yeah, pretty good episode the last time around. We are, I think we're just gonna party it up tonight. Just have some fucking fun, and so glad that you guys are here with us. Best friend, here you go.
Whoa, thank you, best friend. I appreciate you. Got tangled in my headphones. That was no good. Jake Taylor, playing Real Authorvine tonight, and you know it's a party because the party shirt is here. All right, Gus, take us home.
Yeah, what's up? My name is Gus Langley, and I'm playing Divit. We're here to kill Medusas and smoke weed, and it looks like we're all out of Medusas, so I'm gonna have to shoot it over to the Dungeon Master, my man McClenahan.
Boom. Thank you, Gus. Well, fans old and new, welcome. We have ourselves a little ritual that we like to do here at WeeDnD before we get into that sweet D&D like Mama used to make. We like to take ourselves a lighter. Go ahead and grab one right now if you're playing along at home. Make sure you're not going to light anything on fire, specifically your own body or the body of someone you care about. Put that thumb up there, and let's go. Lighters up. Let's play some fucking D&D, guys.
WeeDnD, high fantasy, literally for you and me. So load up bowl and make a roll to take control.
Woo, I love that intro. All right, y'all, if you'll allow me to set the mood. And open up the right tab. When last we left the Ferocious Five, they had at long last slain the legendary Medusa and used her blood to remove the aging curse of Ergon the Archmagus before its effects turned permanent. Having proven himself in the Rakanasta, a test of strength revered by the mercenaries of Buraka, Thoricus Onyxheart has now become the chosen of the Raka, and earned a role of leadership for the wayward camp of warriors. The sun still hangs frozen in the sky, a constant reminder of the heavy task at hand. However, the Five, weary from their many days of battle and adventure, now prepare for a great feast to be thrown in their honor. The near loss of Divit to the stone magic gaze of the Medusa has created an unsteadiness amongst the minds of the Five, but the lingering magics of the Raka have renewed their spirits, and though their mortal flesh be weary, for a brief and rare moment, they are allowing themselves some much-needed rest and celebration. All right, guys, we are back. Boom. You're still standing around the stone pit where the Rakanasta took place. Most recently, the magical walking staff of Ubre the Calloused was passed to you, and you used it as part of this magic ritual that helped use the blood of the Medusa to restore Rial, Brunor, and Divit to their original age, 20 years younger. You see Brunor's skin is more of the blue tone, not quite the blue-green color that it had aged to, and she seems to be standing with a renewed sense of purpose. You guys look around, and if you recall, the whole town at the mention of let's get to drinking started running off to their respective camps. You see guys rolling giant, massive kegs. You're kind of looking around, and it seems like booze and meats have these people outnumbered by like 2 to 1. Like, you see this little tiny skinny guy, and he's got a full keg just shouldered on his back, and his legs, they're shaking in the red and brown dirt of the ground as he walks, but he's hefty, just bringing, and he's got this real excited look on his face as he eagerly brings ale to be drank, as part of this great celebration. Ubre the Calloused has kind of backed off and started heading back toward her little tent area, seemingly also in the festive spirit. You see standing beside her, the two large, imposing figures from before. One of them to her side, as described previously, is a bugbear. He's not actually like a half-orc like Malka, but he is a full, monstrous race. He stands nearly 8 feet tall. He has this real thick, red-gray hued skin and a real strong face, but most of it is covered by these large, square slats of leather. Like, nobody bothered fitting this armor to his massive frame. They just hung pieces of leather at various points on his gear. He stands very blocky and tall. Like I said, 8 feet tall, very imposing, probably like a 300-pound, just big force of a body. And he stands there, and you see hanging at his side is just a small, very simple, almost like the first hatchet you would buy your child. He has a small hatchet strapped to the thick and meaty part of his thigh. He seems to be looking almost exclusively at Ubre, and as you've seen in this, previous time, seems not to look away from her very often. Has definitely, this Bruno, our protector fighter, you certainly sense that protector spirit within him. You would guess he's some kind of guard to her effect, based on just your knowledge of kind of how this situation looks in front of you. Beside them, if you'll recall, is this black and red and crimson leather clad, almost like a ninja. He's got dark hair that just kind of tufts out and hangs like bangs over his face. And he's got a black tied back bandana that just covers the lower portion of his face, with all these varying slats of tightly fitted, almost in opposition to the way the other guy looks. These are perfectly grooved around and stepped into place with small metal buttons that hold and seem to move quite fluidly with him as he moves around. Strapped to his back is this great long bow. It actually has to be tilted diagonally because it's so big that it would just drag on the ground if you tried to hold it straight up and down. But it's this large black nightwood bow that he has strapped to his back with this with a quiver full of long black-tipped raven feathers. That's the fletching on his arrows. And you see he kind of, as Ubre approaches as well, they both nod and turn and kind of start going with her into their tent. And so for the first time in almost the entire time since you've been here, you guys are standing by yourselves. Wow. Some of you guys kind of still looking at the youthful age in your hands, but you look around and you see the faces of the Five.
All right.
We did it. We did it.
The sun.
Kid-
Right.
Thank you guys. Man, you're just the best, you know?
I'm gonna initiate a big awkward group hug. Just like
Yes, it's awkward. It's awesome.
And some of us are still soaked in blood still, so.
Yes. Yeah, the magic of the staff kind of helped use the blood to remove the curse, but certainly like your clothing and stuff, like not anything on your skin kind of dissolved into your skin through the magics. But you know, your clothing itself is still, you know, Bruno, or you specifically, having bathed in the blood of that, you know, bleeding Medusa, tailless Medusa, you know, you look down at your clothes and they're just soaked, you know, still, almost as if you've dyed your armor red, you know, and you just give it a little wipe and the metal armor is just kind of like, but you have quite a bit of blood on you still. Yeah, you guys are quite a grisly sight. You know, in Real, as you kind of hug, you get a little bit of that blood on your arm. You know, you guys haven't really been prone to a lot of physical contact, so this nice awkward moment of just like, you know, Real kind of overly forcing the issue, and you know, just kind of just slide in, and we get a fantastic hug of the Ferocious Five.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go over and let Brian out.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So.
I mean, I feel like it's time. I'm like, yes, my friends, we did it. We're great. I'm like, oh, but I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. Like, don't
It's
go
hot.
anywhere. I'll be right
It's
back.
hot.
I gotta go grab Brian. Let me go grab
You don't
Brian.
leave your pet in the car.
Yeah, we gotta go grab the Brian man.
All right.
So
So in this moment, you turn, you know, you guys have all just hugged each other. And as you stand, you feel a slight breeze in the air and the gleaming sun in the sky. And it's been so long since you felt comfort like this. You feel a little safe, like there's not a threat just around every bend. And in that moment, you see a great shadow begin streaking across the ground. A long, grizzled nose dotted with sharp teeth. And with a flash of the nearby brush, you see a massive form come before you. You see Brian the Crocodile. It seems he's somehow, in his half-greased state, managed to get himself out of the cart by himself, and he's now wiggling, you know, the great 10-foot-long crocodile ridden by Bruno the sea serpent in battle. You see him, you know, as his arms barely big enough to support his body, as he kind of, Brian waddles over you, his mouth open the whole way. You see Brian, he runs up to you, Bruno, and immediately upon reaching your feet, turns himself over on his back, exposing his ribbed belly to you. And you give him the scritches. And you see his mouth is open upside down as he lays in delight. You know, the rest of the four of you at this just sheer sight of just kind of some silly Brian the Crocodile, you know, a secondary breath, that dangerous instinct, that Mirkwood, you know, getting into the back of your mind. You take this moment and you have a nice laugh amongst each other. You know, Brian is back. You see, as Brian's like getting his pet down, suddenly that skinny guy that had the keg on his shoulder, you see he's like, and the keg falls backwards. He lands on the ground, and you see some of the ale start flowing, and a bunch of nearby guys are like, huh! And they jump to the rescue, and they just start taking handfuls of ale before it's lost to the red and brown mud, and they start drinking it from their hands. It would appear the drinks are starting to get flowing.
What a good boy.
You there? Hand me a glass.
You see a nearby shamanasta, Buraka! And she starts playing the song of Buraka that you first heard coming over the hills. A song that once filled you with dread and worry, but now you're starting to feel, you know, something you hadn't heard about from these people and the rumors that you've heard about this camp. There seems to be quite a powerful bond and warmth amongst them, and they seem to now count you as one of their own. And so you know, as you guys are kind of looking around, you see one of the you know, he's got like I said, some of the guys have like mad masks, like leather horns and stuff sticking out of their head. You see this little wiry guy kind of runs over and scoops his hand into the ale, and he pushes the guy back. And then, you know, you see this big buff guy kind of fall back, and he looks at him, and they stare at each other for a second, and then they just start slugging it out. And everybody around him is like, yeah! And you see guys still drinking, you know, handfuls of ale. Yeah! You know, one of them goes to clap, and a big splash of ale that was in his hand splashes in his face, and you know, people around him start laughing. You feel this sense, you know, you might recall from the campfire in the refugee camp, that swelling magic that seems to flow from you guys, that, you know, seems to be battling this anger that's building up in the world as the sun just stays as an imposing figure in these people's lives. And you feel that same breeze blow through you and start spreading around you in the camp. Even this fight is happening in the best way. You know, it's that they're fighting each other, but when one of them falls down, the other one helps him back up. And then once he's up, you know, it gives him a little strawberry right across the nose. And you see the lighter side of this community kind of starting to come out as I said, as people start to get a little intoxicated.
I want to go up and I want to dip my hand into the ale and I want to take a sip. And then I'm going to boom my voice with my thaumaturgy and I'm going to scream, Buraka!
You know, using your magical thaumaturgy to make your voice boom several times louder than normal. Buraka! You know, it beats. And you hear a couple more of the shamanastas as they had, you know, early on. Buraka! And now the song, rather than just kind of being played, you know, in this direct area around you, it seems to fill the canyon that Buraka sits in. Drummers that you haven't even seen on other sides of the, you know, the city that you haven't ventured to. You hear the beating of their drums, and you hear that similar sense of revelry and laughter, and it, you know, in a world so, you know, seemingly dark in these moments with all these catastrophes occurring, it's certainly a welcome sight. You see Tina as you, boom, you know, hold your hand up to the sky and your thaumaturgy, you know, you see a crackling yellow light in your hand that you're used to activating to make your thaumaturgy work. And only you notice for a brief moment as you go to cast the spell, the yellow light on your hand flickers. You cast the thaumaturgy, your voice still booms, but you know, a caster familiar with the magical energies that you harness, that was not normal. There was something seemingly blocked your access just for a slight moment to the word of Tharizdun. So as you're, you know, standing there kind of looking at your hand, you see kind of like one of the younger guys, you know, he's actually already taken his mask off. He's just kind of, you know, kind of very gaunt face. He seems like a guy who lived a lot of his life in the bottle. And, you know, he's got those really defined cheekbones and some short hairs on his chin and dark, sunken-in eyes. And he looks up, you know, at you for a second, and you're like, what's with that look about? And then his eyes just widen up. Oh, you're Tina Smoothhands. You stood before the Medusa. The five! And you see, you know, now the chants that are around you as the boxing match, you know, kind of fizzles out and the two guys slug their arms over each other and now they're best friends. You know, you see the chants start changing to the five.
Thanks.
I turn around and look at the rest of the five, and I just kind of like disappear into this mosh pit.
Yeah, you see the dancing, you know, that the Burakans are known for as those almost like, you know, techno trances they get into. You see some of that shuffling is starting to happen around you. And Divit, again, you're connected to this magical energy of the Raka. It reminds you very much of a similar bardic magic that you attune to. It has something to do with the essence of life and energy. And yes, these people may have some questionable morals, but their natural zest for living with this spirit is undeniable. You know, even you, as you know, slide away from your group, you start bouncing and you feel like as soon as your shoulder makes contact with one of the guys, suddenly you start, your shoulder feels really warm. And as you bounce around, each different part of you that bumps into somebody, you start feeling this like irradiated warm energy. And it just feels like this warm love. And the more you let go and kind of let the sound of these beating, tight, stretched drums carry you, you feel the warmth filling your body. You know, you're kind of in like a blissful state right now. Not quite aware of anything visually or audibly, but you're just in this place. And it reminds you faintly of the darkness where you sat when you thought you were dead. And for a moment, that warm feeling strikes your body and you feel a cold chill shoot down your spine. You remember dying. You remember floating through a dark, starlit space. You could see, stretched out before you, time. And all the different actions that people could take, and the twisted paths that would lead off. And you feel a hollowness inside you. This warmth, seemingly pushing the cold energy away, takes over your body again, and boom, you're back. You feel like you're in this blissful nirvana again, but a bit shaken to your core by that experience. Do you continue dancing?
Yes, I continue dancing, and I'd like to, I'd like to cast a spell if I'm like in the middle of this pit. I'd like to look up and release hypnotic pattern, like just like.
All right, so hypnotic pattern is dope. Go ahead and cast it just so we can have the cast box up. I don't think there's saving. Yeah, I think it saves.
Yeah.
It's like a charm thing. Unlike charm person, it's not one where they're going to be mad at you if it doesn't work. But it basically, what you get is this like, it's this illusionary image. So it's like your own light and effects show. So what do you want in this moment when you reach up and you feel that wind, that warmth escape from your mouth, and that heat starts to fill the sky in front of you? What is it that Divit sees in front of him in the infinite void of magic?
Dark fire.
You see this magical illusion is so strong that it seems to block the piercing sunlight from the sky, and almost you're in a half shade momentarily as this black and purple rooted fire starts burning up around. You see it, kind of spiraling out from Divit as he's bouncing around in this crowd of people, his eyes starting to roll into the back of his head. You see this giant, massive, burning fire. This is a lot of saving throws here, so I'm just gonna. It's a 30-foot little cone.
I didn't mean
right?
to cast it again, my bad.
No problem. They get a wisdom save.
Trippy.
So I'm gonna. You guys are pretty tightly packed now. I'd say there's probably 20 people in this area. So let's go 20, and then I'm just gonna check, and we'll call out. The specifics aren't that insane unless you're gonna start building an army.
Whoa!
Roll dice. A couple crits, a couple ones. You can see the roll 20 balance right there. Nice. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, only 6 passes. So I guess about 14 people in this mosh pit right now are charmed by you. So while you have this kind of now remember, charm isn't like a dominate person spell. They are just extremely friendly to you and are more inclined to help you or, to treat you like a friend. So do you have a friendly word for any of these people? Are you trying to elicit a certain effect from them?
Ask him to help us move this weekend.
Yeah, I want him to pick me and my buddies up. Like, I want him to crowd surf us to the coolest place in town.
All right. So you guys have seen this before. You see Divit as he's raging, and these large, dark purple and black flames, suspend themselves in the air. Drew, you feel that little warmth or the wind of the raka, deep in the core of your lungs, and you start feeling it blow out of your mouth as if this moment commands more magic. The dark flames start building and building, and they start flashing Technicolor. Suddenly they're green and red. They shoot back. Suddenly they're black and purple, red and yellow like normal flames. They start just bursting out in Technicolor bursts. And as you've seen Divit do before, he starts taking long steps on the ground with his hand forward. And as he does so, you finally see one of the villagers reach down and scoop his foot. And as you've witnessed now in 2 towns before, you see Divit begin skating on the crowd.
Yes. Like my favorite.
You see him ride around to the other side, and he stops, his hands out. He beckons with his hands forward, and suddenly you all, you feel as several hands grab you and raise you into the air.
No, I don't.
That was my
The
button.
five! The five! They all chant as Divit gracefully continues skating.
No.
Yeah. A lot of weird people you don't know touching you in this moment.
Daddy doesn't like. Daddy doesn't like.
So yeah, you see your legs are shaking, and you're like, you never considered just how hard what it is that Divit's doing must be. Like, you can't even get your balance, let alone stand. You feel, Bruno, you try to put your foot down, and you're like, you step right on some guy's face. It's like, and you try moving forward, and then some guy reaches up and gets a big handful, and you're like, slap his arm away, and you look down, there's some toothless old man like, hee. And so you guys are just kind of like, what is going? And Divit continues skating.
Oh, I'm very small, so this is nearly impossible for me.
Right.
So
yeah, you see, it only takes
I'm
2
laying
guys
down
to
and
have you,
letting the crowd jostle me.
Yeah. So you like beckon to be put down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like,
No, I'm on top of them and like actually crowd surfing horizontally.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys see, little tiny Tina Smooth Hands, even though her armor's probably the heaviest thing about her, starts getting passed around through the crowd.
Okay.
Tina, as you lay back, you feel the small fingers of anybody who's ever crowd surfed. It's a pretty wicked feeling. But you just start kind of feeling less of the contact of multiple hands and more like this energy that's dragging you along top of these people. You start, as a caster also, you start seeing like that's what Divit is doing. Divit is not actually skating on the hands and shoulders, but riding the wind and energy of this style of performance. And in such a way, he's flying. Like he's not actually making contact with anybody. And so you start kind of tuning in again. You're picturing your brother skating around the crowd and you getting lost in that same wind and energy. And you start to feel deep inside your care, your concern, that protective instinct of a sister. And as you wash away and that warmth of the hands and the wind pushing you over the crowd washes over you, you, like Divit, experience a sharp, cold chill that shoots down to the base of your spine. And you remember watching your brother 2 feet in front of the legendary Medusa as the magic began forming his body into stone. And you feel the helplessness trying to reach out to do what you could. Once he was turned to stone, reaching out and trying to heal him, but being incapable of doing so. You hear the voice of Therazdun. You stole my power. You twisted destruction for salvation. Tina, redemption is required. And you feel that same crackle that you felt when you casted that thaumaturgy. Suddenly, that warm energy, you're back. You feel no longer the warm energy, but the many, many hands of people touching you. You feel like you're being violated. You feel as if this entire crowd is pawing at you as you go over. And it's like they're not, but you feel like instead of that energy, you now just feel greasy fingertips and dirty lips. And you see...
Put me down, put me down, put me down, put me down.
You knock away the hands of some of the people carrying you. You look over and you see that same toothless old guy like, not helping.
Put me down.
Tina, you push away. You see the crowd kind of just...
Try to pull to the front where Divit is. I just want to get out of the crowd. I want to get to wherever the crowd is taking us.
So you see Divit, in front of you, and that feeling calling you. You've got to save him. You know he's not in danger, but it does feel like he is. And you start pushing through, and the bodies of the people lost in the trance of the dance of the Raka, are hard to push because they just seem rooted to the earth and connected with this moment. But you force them out of the way. Your small stature, you're pushing right at their waists most of the time. And you finally start, you start feeling like you can't breathe. It feels like all the mouths of everybody around you are breathing up all the air, the dancing, the swelling song.
I see her
You
get
start
caught
feeling
up,
a
and I want to
panic overtake.
skate that way and swoop her up out of there.
Exactly. So Divit, you look down. You're so into this moment. You're riding on this magical energy as you have before, and you turn, and for some reason, through an entire crowd of moshing human beings, as if they fade away and you see only you and one other person. You see Tina grasping at her chest, unable to breathe. And you skate over towards her. And with a wave of your hand as part of this big spectacle, the wind of the Raka around you, Tina, you look up and you see the gleaming hand of Divit, his young face, his youthful beard, the smile, the energy, the performance, the charisma. You see him reaching out for you for your hand.
I take it.
I can show you the world.
Feel that wind, that Raka. You feel it like a supportive grasp, pushing you just at the base of your spine, helping you up on top. You start riding hand in hand as Divit's energy seems to propel you over the crowd. And for a brief moment, you have this familial connection to this man. You feel your hand in his. You feel the fear and all the negativity that comes with love. But also you find the other side, the warmth, the connection. And you couldn't be more proud of your younger brother in this moment as he sways an entire town's worth of people who just, hours ago were clamoring for death as he leads them in this light and lighthearted celebration. You see the other members of the five near the back, Thoricus kind of cutting a little dwarven jig, a couple of like a little foot out, one of these little numbers, as he's even Thoricus is, getting his grind on the squat, tense, dense body of Thoricus Onyxheart. You see the mood seems to have spread around camp, and more people are bringing in chairs and little cots, and you see it looks like they're starting to drag in felled trees from areas that off on the other side of camp, and they're building a great fire. And so it's like you just kind of see it looks like they're setting up for some kind of big thing, but nobody's been like, hey, this is what's about to happen. So you guys just kind of notice they're bringing like mistletoe and a bunch of other herbs that'll burn and smell sweetly on the fire, and they're packing them dryly around the base of the wood.
Hell yeah.
And so but almost everybody is plastered. Like no one is like, let me help with that, sir. Like everybody's just like, put the mistletoe on top, it'll smell good. Yes, and they're just drinking. Most people 2 drinks in a hand.
Best idea ever.
Where are they
Are we like the
taking
most
us?
important people in town now?
Yeah, so are we like in the center
we're
of
kind of a
town,
big deal.
or?
Correct. So if you'll look, you guys are still almost like this whole little dance party. Sorry, I've got 20 dice in
I was
mine.
like, I don't see a town. All I see is dice.
It's all it is. It's dice.
It's the town of Diceville. Population. Let me roll real quick. Boom, you guys are pretty much dancing right here. So just kind of where your tokens are at. It's not like I don't have you like prep for combat, so you guys are just kind of mingling in this area.
Okay.
You see Brian, Brenor, suddenly you look over and you're, what's going on? Somebody is over by Brian the crocodile, and what are they doing?
No.
And you look, and you see it's actually just like a 14-year-old boy. And in his hands, he has these fake dragon wings, and he seems to be trying to like attach them to Brian. He's like, and he like sees you look at him, and he's like, oh, don't worry, man, we're just getting him ready for the race. You gotta catch the dragon, right? Gotta catch the dragon. And he clips these little wings to the back, just where his shoulders meet, his big squat arms. And you see as he looks, it looks like he's got these green dragon wings that spread out and up about 2 feet off of his back. And you see the boy looking, and he's like, oh, man, he's already greased up. Huh, saved me half a bottle of grease. And you see, because Brian is already greased up, he only pours half a bottle of grease on, and he continues to grease Brian up the rest of the way.
All right. Go, Brian.
Brian seems to be loving it.
Great. Well, I want to ask this boy, like, I kind of like push my way off of people, and I walk over to this guy and I go, cool. No, I'm sure he's fine with it. He loves to wear costumes and stuff. But what happens now? What are you going to do to him? Because I need to clear this
You
first.
see, he looks around, and he's like, you gotta catch the greased up dragon, right? Huh? Oh, it's a great bit of fun. Look, we'll let him out, right? And he'll start running around town, and whoever can catch him gets the prize.
What's the prize?
That's the surprise.
But you don't hurt him. He doesn't get hurt at all, right?
And you see he looks, and he's like, I mean, the grease helps, you try to get a grab on him, and he slithers right out. We've had some years where people don't even win, and the dang things get away.
So I'm gonna look down at Brian now. What do you think, buddy? What do you think, Brian, man? You wanna play?
You see he, like, looks up at you, squats up on his little arms. And he opens his mouth wide. And then he's like, "Go get him, boy!" And he kind of slaps the big, thick tail of Brian. And Brian gleefully starts slithering away. You know, you see his feet hitting the ground. And like the mud and dust on the ground kind of gets stuck to the grease. But he's getting a good run. And you see the kid like, "I'm going to get him first!" Leaps and tries to grab him. And his hands just like slip off the greasy tail of Brian. And you guys are looking, you know, he kind of like just starts running through camp. And you see like a group of maybe 5 people like, "Oh, gotta get the dragon, man! Gotta get the dragon!" And they all start running down the street. And you just see Brian like disappear off down the road.
I hope he doesn't eat one of them. Anyway.
That's true. Brian's not exactly home. Like, he's not a home, you know, he doesn't live in a house or anything. He is a crocodile who loves you. But, you know, hey, maybe these guys would be into that.
If I know. Oh, I know. Who am I? I know that if he's tested, he'll give him as many chances as he can. But that boy, if you treat him bad, he'll treat you worse.
That's true. Brian does not
No
like
animal
to be pushed
cruelty
around.
in this house.
And we did get to break out the Brian theme song, which, you know,
Yes!
long
Oh,
time
it's
coming.
adorable.
Long time coming. All right, so yes, you see, as you kind of, you know, you guys are, you don't live here, so it's not like you have like a job in this. They're not like, you go get the chairs. You know, it's like you guys are just kind of like hanging out as they're, it's seemingly putting this whole spectacle and feast together for you. You start to see more of the elements of a feast. That giant head. You start seeing more elements of the feast start showing up. You know, you hear the as they bring in like pigs and boars, and they start just like slicing throats and prepping them for this big feast. You see them skewering them on these great sticks that they'll put over this fire, you know, and toasted with the smoky fragrances. It'll probably be a pretty delicious meat, unlike anything you guys have probably had in a while, eating your dry ass rations. And so, yeah, you see as they start like prepping the animals for it, and more chairs and like wedges of wood that are nice and flat. They just set down, you know, that people can rest their weary bones on. And they seem to be kind of creating a big circular area around this fire. There's like a big dirt walk ring around it, and then a bunch of seats. So, you know, it kind of seems like they're setting up some kind of, you know, event of some kind. And you're seeing the elements of that event coming through as, again, the town continues to just get more and more drunk. You know, they're just like, some guys are like trying to bring stuff. You just see guys like asleep already, just already drank too much, passed out on a chair that they were carrying, just like leaned over. You know, it's gonna hurt in the morning, and they're just like, throwing up.
Is
you know,
the bugbear guy around?
So Bugbear Guy and Ubre and the other gentleman whose name you still don't know. I always end up saying their name before you guys learn their name, so I'm working on that. So yes, the man with the long nightwood bow and the large leather-clad man both went with Ubre the Calloused, you know, kind of the de facto leader of sorts, it would seem, into her tent kind of over here on the right side. So they still haven't shown back up yet. But around you, you know, like I said, you see, actually, everybody do me a favor. Go ahead and make perception checks.
Okay.
Yeah, all of you guys, actually.
Okay.
Because everybody's kind of in their own vibe right now. You know, Tina and Divit have gotten down off of the crowd. And, you know, the Shamanastas now, each of them gathering their own little crowds. You see small, little tiny, like, drum battles kind of going on. Like, you'll see a Shamanasta come up to one, and then she'll start, like, and then the other one will start playing. If you'll remember, Gus, you had a similar drum battle before you guys actually came in here with one of them. You know, you see that starting to happen again. These Shamanastas seem to, you know, constantly be trying to one-up each other. So above the noise of the crowd, you know, you hear the drunken slurs and you know, the revelry of drunk people around you as they get set up, you know, the grinding of wood on the ground as people drag their various things around, the banging of hammers as they set up cots and pin things down, and as they prepare for a pretty grand looking spectacle. Over the sound, you know, the rest of you guys basically just caught in all of the stimulus, looking around at these various events that I just spoke about. Tina, your ear, you feel like a ping. and you hear a faint voice. Help me. Help. Please. You step away from the crowd a little bit. You hear it a little louder. Help. Help, please. Help. They're going to eat me. You know the voice. This is Mithra, the cleric that may have betrayed you, that you saw sending an eagle to Tyrenius just before Tyrenius showed up and tried to kill you. You hear her voice coming down here from the southwest, in that area that I said kind of looks like a prison cell. You know, it's got sharp poles and everything stuck up, and there's a guard standing out front. But yes, you definitely hear the voice of Mithra calling to you. Not necessarily to you, but out. Please, help! Someone! Please! You hear it coming from that area down there.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to take this moment. What's everybody else doing?
I just want to drink.
Can I stealth away and do something weird real fast?
Oh yes, this is
I
the
think I'd
time
like
to
stealth
do
away
weird
as
things.
well.
So we'll let's resolve Tina because she's doing her weird thing first, and then we'll do your weird thing, and then maybe I'll do something weird. I don't know. This is
weird shit.
This is D&D. Jake, I love your shirt so much. I have to stop looking at you because I keep laughing. George?
I don't know which eyes to look at.
Anyway. All right, guys. So yes, Tina, you look around. Does anybody else have anything that's not like sneaky that they're doing right now? Like you see Thoricus just like grab a drink and start pounding one down. You see everybody around him kind of like they're not quite bowing to him, but you can very much tell that they're like revering him. But they seem to be enjoying partying with you as well. What about you, Brunor? Divit, what are you guys? Do you guys just kind of like hanging out in the party vibe or anything specific? If it's sneaky, we're doing sneaky stuff next.
Some of these people are still charmed by me, right?
What's that? Yes. 14 people are charmed by you.
They're still, yeah? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I just kind of I was keeping an eye on Brian, but I saw him kind of scurry away, and I know he can hold his own. I think maybe... See, I don't normally like to let loose because, like, I'd always try to make sure that I'm on, like, I have my wits about me and I can help out because I don't want to fail anybody. But I think.
Time you almost killed Tina.
Well.
You mean time?
Oh, that's right. It's more than once.
Which time?
Well, which
time?
time?
Was it the first time?
Or the second time?
Second time. This time, I think I'm just gonna pick up try to find some ale. But I also need to find somewhere to maybe wash some of this blood off. Is that?
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah, you see, they've got some like water basins, and you see like one guy's like legs are like sticking out of it, like he's like bobbing for apples or something in it. And you see his legs kind of kicking, and then he comes up, and in his mouth he indeed has an apple. Everybody's like, aha, patting him on the back. But it's one of those, one of those fantasy medieval gross buckets full of water that they would bathe themselves and snot into, and it's one of those. Like, yeah, there's some water there that you could do. But yeah, you see he's like, he takes a bite of the apple and then blows a snot rocket right into the water. And then another guy's big mouth wide open goes into the water.
God.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay bloody. I'm gonna stay bloody until maybe I'll a little bit later I'll use some beer and just
now
wash my face off,
just a fun ability.
Out.
Real, just recall prestidigitation would do the trick for you as well. You should be able to remove the stained blood from your clothes with a little bit of your free cantrip. Prestidigitation does a million things, so I just like to remind people from time to time some of the more fun uses of it. Yeah. So perfect, yeah. Bruner, you start kind of looking around. Your first instinct is like, I gotta get this blood off, and then you see this disgusting display, and you're like, the blood's fine. It's that blood's not bad at all. I'm okay with that. And you turn back around, and actually you see something that normally, it's this weird instinct that is very rare to you. You see this nice, cushy, just like cushion, just sitting on the ground. This nice, puffy, like cotton and goose feather stuffed cushion And you can just imagine, after all of this like struggle and running and riding and fighting and dying and just like how nice and comfortable that cushion would be in this moment, you know. And you kind of see it and shoulder your way over to it. You know, it doesn't seem that anybody around there is like, that's mine, you know. And you kind of like, you know, and you look down, and there's this nice inviting pillow. Were that to be what you would enjoy to do in this moment?
Yeah, you know what? I'm covered in blood. My crocodile is having the time of his life. My friends are alive. I'm young now. I'm gonna go curl up in this pool.
It's better than that.
Yeah.
You know, you lay down and you see the blood-soaked leather armor, you know, or not, your blood-soaked armor kind of like rubbing off on this pink cushion, you know, a little bit of blood smear. You don't even really care, you know, it's just like, and you don't think anybody in this town, they don't seem like a very cleanly people, you know, so you kind of like wiggle into the spot, you know, and put your arms up behind your head, lean back for a second. You just look at the sky, you know, so long the sun being stuck in the sky has been a blight. You know, it seems like this constant reminder of this foreboding bad magic that's lingering over you. But it has also froze the sky in this beautiful sunlit pale blue that you know, long removed from the ocean, being a sea elf, you kind of see yourself getting lost in the clouds that are like waves in the ocean. And you feel a genuine sense of comfort and that warm energy that everybody else was described feeling prior. Almost like rain starts coming down from the sky. You feel this little circle of warm energy. A little circle of warm energy. And it starts covering your body like a warm syrup. And suddenly you feel just caked in with this warm and happy feeling. And this sharp chill shoots down your spine. Your eyes are open and you see the sky begin to freeze. The sun itself starts being coated in this dark and thick ice. And you see the great shadow of the shadow dragon Exonius flying through the sky, so massive that it covers nearly half of the sky. And as the shadow sweeps over the frozen sun, you see it shatter. And all the light fades to black. Feel that warm embrace cover you again. You sit up in your pillow, kind of look around. You see a crowd of 10 people chasing this long 10-foot crocodile that seems to be barreling through chairs and right through tents, doesn't care, knocks the tent pole leg right out, and one of the tents just falls flat. And you see as the cloth falls on him, this big wiggling form popping out the other side is Brian the crocodile. You see he's gotten used to the wings now, and he's using them to add to his incredible dexterous movement around, and nobody seems to be able to catch him.
Prestidigitation to shoot fire out of the front of his face.
You see he turns, raising his mouth right on cue. You see this little like clown version of a fireball blow out of his mouth. And the kids all fall back. You know, you see there's actually like 5 or 6 like teenage age kids fall back and they all start laughing. Finally you see the toothless old man sneaking up just behind him. You see he kind of winks over at you again, Tenna. Hey! And he's sneaking up on Brian. He goes to pounce. Brian turns, and in a flash, he continues on down a muddy path toward the other side of camp as the old man falls into a thick plot of mud and begins and all the kids are laughing at the old man, and it's just this nice fun little moment that snaps you out of that very scary bittersweet moment there. Boom, you know, in that we snap back to Tina. You're looking over the crowd. You see as Brunor sets herself down on this nice pink cushion. You know, you look around and it seems like everybody genuinely like is engaging in this nice relaxing moment. But for you, that haunting feeling, that betrayal, that knowledge that you have and can't share with anybody else, mixed in with this voice from your past, is just overwhelming to you. So you're standing there in the crowd of people, you know, nobody paying too much particular attention to each other, but what would you like to do?
I would like to take this moment to sneak away and I would like to do that. I can create a duplicate of myself. So I would like
Ooh.
my friends to worry about me. I don't want them to wonder where I am. This is business that I need to take care of. For myself, it's just a loose end I need to close. For me. Nobody needs to worry about me, so.
A power that Tina has yet to use, so none of the 5 are aware of. Tina, being a trickery cleric, can invoke a duplicate of herself. And so Tina, you just kind of casually, as if you're part of the party, kind of walk over near this tent, like I said, where the kind of like the campfire here and Malka is, and you kind of ping over here around this corner, and nobody's there. Push the tent folds back on one of these buildings, and you start walking inside. Brenor, as you snap out of your vision, you look over and you see Tina walking out from that thing, just seemingly, as if she's joining back to the group. But we snap back to you, Tina, as you snuck around the door. You channel that energy, and again, for a brief moment, there's a crackle. It doesn't stop the magic. There's no change in the duplication. You invoke your duplicate, calling upon the trickster energy of your trickster god, Tharizdun. You begin to glow with a soft white energy, and then that white energy peels away from you. And for a moment, you're just looking at the outline of a white spectral figure that then fills in with color from the feet to the hair. And you, as if standing in front of a mirror, now look at your duplicate. What would you like to do?
Awesome. I want to.
Out.
Yeah, hey girl. Yeah, can I kiss her?
Yes, you can.
Not right now. That's later.
Come back for WeeDnD After Dark.
I just want to see her
D&D.
in the shade, looking at her spells, chilling out, real chill like.
So before you leave this tent, as she begins to walk out, this is just before the vision that Brunor saw. So, you saw just a moment after this. You grab a cup and you see up here in her hand is this cup, and then you set your cup down, but she's still holding it. She walks out, and you have her. You're just like, do the Tina thing, and you're not very far away. Could you possibly just check for me? And you would know how far this is. How far away can it be from you? I think it's like 100 feet. But I'm not positive. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I have my PHP right here. Right before it leaves the tent, you're like, "Hey, be real chill.
She's
I want you to just like be cool, okay?"
Cool, man. Be cool.
Sorry, 1 second.
Oh, no problem.
A lot of nice people out there.
But yes, basically, the only reason this factors in, and I'll kind of narrate us and we can clarify this as you find it.
It's like how
far she can be from you, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you could have her post up, basically like right here.
Oh, hydration.
120,
check, homie.
120 feet. Okay, yeah. So you could post up. You could have her, hanging out kind of over here. There's a gathering of people, of these mercenaries that are starting to set up, that are carrying things. Just kind of. Let's see here.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that makes sense.
About to the east of the pit here, they start bringing stuff. So yeah, you can kind of have her post up far enough away from you that if somebody were to see her, they wouldn't immediately be like, she must be over there. So yeah, she kind of goes and posts up, kind of over.
Something doesn't add up. Yeah. Okay. Well, now that Tina 2 is over there.
All right. So I do want to say
Tuna.
it does last for 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yes. So this, this illusion, this, you have a certain amount of time. So I will say, you certainly get yourself in position. You only have a minute. You're ready for this next moment. So I'll give you that full minute with what you'd like to do. Now, not to say that if that illusion disappears, suddenly everybody's going to go on a hunt for you. But it is something, to be aware of. It does last for a minute, which is 10 rounds in combat, but in real life time is quite a fleeting moment. But it's very valuable right now. Nobody would know what may be about to transpire.
Okay. So yeah, I want to get over there as quickly as possible.
All right, so you're kind of standing there. You see the guard is kind of hanging out over here by this flag, and you just sneak undetected right behind him. Everybody's kind of, their guard is down right now, for better or worse. They all seem to have, kind of bought into the party spirit. You hear the shouting, the cry, "Help! Please, they're going to eat me!" please. You know, you turn around and you lay your eyes. Yeah, bring you in over here. Sorry, you kind of like sneak into this backside of the tent here, and you see in front of you the beautiful sight of a woman you're very familiar with, Mithra. You know, she was the priestess on the Shattered Isles that was seen sending a carrier crow that you all have suspected perhaps was to warn Tyrenius. A note found on Tyrenius stated simply, "She's here," written in a feminine pen. You see before you the sharp and soft pale face of Mithra. You know, a purple robe with silver runes that kind of outline the trim of her face, with a great cape that kind of flows down on her, pale white cuffs and collar that stick out of this little purple slack-down jacket. You know, in the gray and the dark browns and reds and permanently red ashen sky, she is like a winter flower. Her colors strike so profoundly. And her most memorable feature that you recall very well, having stared into the eyes many times before, her bright amethyst purple eyes shine at you. She looks up. Tina.
Hey, trader, what's up?
What? You see her face kind of drops. What do you mean? I didn't betray you.
What's the purpose of the letter that you sent? I just need to know that. That's the only information I need from you.
You see, she's a bad liar. What letter? She looks at her feet.
Are you really, you're really going to do this to me right now? Me? Of all people? Me?
Do you remember?
Do I remember what?
Do you remember when they caught us? In the library.
I don't have time for this.
Do you remember? She grabs the bars and her eyes, her purple piercing eyes shine at you. Do you remember?
Of course I remember.
Then get me out of here. They're going to kill me. Say what you will about me. Say whatever you think, but they will kill me. These people are savages.
Are you the only prisoner in here?
You look around the room. There's actually a dead body in the cell in the left corner here. You see it's
Did you kill him?
Does that count as a prisoner?
Did you kill him? I asked her.
Of course not. Do you remember me at all, Tina Smoothhands? Are you so quick to judge me? You don't know what it was like after you left. They blamed us. They said we had to have known why you left. You thought it was bad for you. It was 1,000 times worse for us. But you were gone. So yes, I was mad. And I'm still mad, but I have to get out of here before your father finds out what I've done.
Don't bring up my father to me.
You see, she respectfully draws back.
Now, are there any other prisoners?
She looks around. I see none.
Right.
Doesn't look like they last long.
I can't. How strong is the lock?
So, you know, this is a very much a brawn kind of society. So it's like, it's almost as if they're daring people to break out. Like, go ahead and break out, and then we'll beat the crap out of you. So, you know, you see, it's a basic wooden lock, pretty rudimentary. You know, you're not a lock picker. You could definitely attempt to try that, but you also, looking at it, you're like, dude, if I hit that hard enough with, like, you know, my weapon, it would probably break. Now, the guard is still standing outside for what that's worth. Like I said, he's not really engaged or noticed. You know, at this point, your illusionary image, you know, your presence of mind enough, you don't want to just disappear in the middle of nothing. She stands up and kind of walks around a corner and then fades away. But nobody saw you come in here. Nobody is aware of this conversation.
Well, I guess I'm gonna go to the guard and I'm gonna cast Charm Person on it.
All right.
Apparently, it's such a burden.
Well,
I guess if I gotta flirt with the guy, I gotta flirt with the guy. Whatever.
Make friends with this dude. And
He has a
My
plus
pitch.
0 to this. Now remember, on charm person, if he fails, he knows you tried to do this.
right.
Okay. So go ahead and cast it so I can see.
Yes, one moment.
Yeah. Roll 20 to lay song. I remember when Roll 20 would do things when you clicked on them, and that was so long ago. Charm person, here we go. Oh, I'm sorry, Tina, could you also give me your spell save DC?
Oh, yeah.
It should be on your spells page at the top there. He gets a plus 0 to this. I'm gonna go ahead and roll in front of you guys.
Right
So
in
he gets
front of
plus
us.
0. He rolled a 10. I guarantee you, it's yours
Wait,
is
do you
higher.
just need the number?
Yeah,
Oh, 13.
13. So with a 10, he fails. And you see, he's kind of like leaned over this little post, his shoulders kind of up against that red flag that stands up in front of this place. And you see kind of, turns and he looks at you, and his eyes fall upon your fair features. And you, with a little bit of magic, that same ripple effect where he kind of looks into your eyes and for a moment he sees like an echo of yourself flash in front of him. And you see his eyes turn from a questionable face to a wide smile. Oh, what can I do for you, friend?
What are you doing over here? The party's over there. Go drink.
Shall I? We
Don't
always
worry,
have the
I
best of
take care of
times.
everything
Shall I
slowly.
shrug off my work duties and will you keep an eye out?
Don't worry, everything's handled.
You see, he says, He like reaches in around his neck and he pulls out his keys. He's like, if she gives you any trouble, or if you need a little private time with her, here you go.
Oh, God.
And he hands you the key and
Thanks.
throws you an elbow.
You go have fun.
And you're like, ugh. And he kind of like slithers off into the crowd.
Alright, bud.
Yikes.
Yeah. The cage, the jail cell.
Whack.
All right, so
Whack
you
it.
come back into the room, and you walk up, and you've got the keys, and you go to start putting the key in the lock. It's like I said, very rudimentary lock, kind of just a big block feature. You basically just need a flapped object to turn the little key inside. And you as it slides in, and you feel the flap part reach against the peg. Mithra reaches out, and you see her hand touches your hand. She says, Tina, it is so good to see you, my love. So good to see you.
We can't just pick back up. Don't do that.
Tina, make a wisdom saving throw.
What's that mean? What's gonna happen?
You feel her hand around your hand as almost
What
these,
is she?
these black metallic veins start sprouting from where her hand touches your hand.
Yikes.
And you see as you're looking into her deep purple eyes, they start shifting to a swirling black maelstrom. And looking like two black holes burning in each of her eyes. The skin around her lips starts to turn pale and crack. You see black lightning flashes around her face as the energy on your hand starts to spread. You feel 1,000 small needles stabbing into your body, and all the nerves in your skin are on fire. You feel as if each of these pricking needles is freezing you, and again you feel that cold chill down your spine. So powerful. His Sithakis, his dark kiss is all you need. You are frozen, and you see as her dark eyes and pale skin with cracks of black magic pull the key from your frozen hand, unlock the cell, open the door, and she walks past you as your eyes, the only thing that can move, watch as she, beautiful yet dark and twisted, in her flowing purple robes, walks past you, and with a faint touch of her hand, you feel her caress your cheek. Good night, my love. You see her eyes turn back to purple, her skin fades back into the original color, you are still frozen in place, and you see her disappear from the silhouette of the side of your vision.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Oh, I'm like screaming.
It's hard for your lips to move, but the sound can come out. What do you scream?
Well, I want to call her the C word.
All right. You scream.
Yeah, I just say cunt.
You bring it out. You bring the C
There
word.
you go, girl. I was like,
bring in the C.
love the commitment.
If it was too spicy, I'm sorry.
Suddenly, you feel the dark hold of your body tighten and twist. You feel the whirl of dark magic behind you as you feel like she, with her hand, is compressing on your body. Do not toy with me, Tina. Though you were once my love, I will kill you in Synthesis's glory. Do not try and follow me. Do not go to the Malachite Mountains. And suddenly your vision goes black. You feel all those pins push in, and they seemingly make contact in the middle of your body, and you freeze. Your vision disappears, and we go to intermission.
Shut up.
Oh.
Well, if I don't die, I know exactly where I'm going.
It's like the worst party ever. Everyone's like having a good time. They're like, oh fuck, what was that?
Yeah, I'm like having the worst time at this party, guys.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The party hasn't technically fully started yet. So, sometimes I've had parties like that, and then you boot and you rally, and everything's good. Although, yes, that was admittedly pretty fucked up of her to do that to you. So, sweet guys, we're gonna jump back in. Don't you worry. Hang out with us at intermission. We have our fan art on there. Big shout out to all the artists that have contributed. Just some of these amazing images. Definitely check them out. Sandy Stein's music during intermission. I mean, it's my favorite. Hang out. For some reason, we always get a big surge of people during intermission. So if you're in chat, welcome them in and be like, just hang around. We're gonna be doing this for a little bit more. So again, you want to see us level up? Check us out on YouTube. We're gonna take a short rest, use some hit dice. I'm probably gonna have to roll another joint because I don't know where it went. But we will see you in let's call it 10 minutes. All right?
Ooh, sure.
Don't go nowhere.
Where'd my weed go?
What is up, buds? Welcome back. Oh my goodness, what a first half that was. A little tense moment there with Tina Smooth Hands. All right, guys, let's set that mood. When we left off, the five were preparing for the great feast in their honor. As Divit enchanted a crowd with his bardic magics and danced along with the onlookers, Brennor enjoyed a brief moment of respite. Thoricus, a great horn of mead, and Rial fades away from the crowd. So too does Tina Smoothhands, using her illusionary duplicate, managing to have a secret moment with her old acquaintance, the priestess, Mithra. While trying to free her, Tina was frozen by the dark magics of her once lover as the darkness infecting her took hold and issued warning. The darkness consumed Tina as she watched Mithra walk away, and now we join Rial Othravan to see what kind of weird shit he's getting into. All right, Rial, you stand near the edge of the crowd, slowly backing away, and you hear a sudden burst and crash, and you turn to your right, and you see as this small tent, seemingly of supplies, has the tent poles blown out from under it, as this great, mighty dragon slithers along the muddy ground. As groups of people, now it's upwards of 25, each taking their dive and jump. You see Brian each time, just one step ahead, the wings adding to his ability to cut through the crowd. And you see, even though he's still greased up, some of the grease slides off each time people grab him. Eventually, they will catch Brian. But for now, he's just too slippery. So he slithers away through the mud, and taking the advantage of the spectacle, kind of step back. Using your roguish training that we've seen so many times before, you have the ability to just disappear into a crowd. Anybody looking on would see nothing. Rial, what do you do?
I'd like to actually zip back to the Medusa corpse.
Yeah, so completely laying untouched at this point. Nobody's really it's like, is that thing still on? It's like you can see people kind of walking around it with a weary tension. Nobody wants to disturb the beast and possibly have it rise again. So, you almost by yourself walk over and you see it's still kind of, you can see even though its skin and stuff has fallen off and it's deflated and it's this like withered form in front of you, you still see the two javelins crisscrossed through its back that pinned it to the ground, that allowed, Divit to give it the old coup de grace and paper beats rock or right up the chin. So yeah, you see her, the emaciated and withered form of this mostly giant, massive snake at this point. The skin revealing just some muscle underneath, and the top, 3 or 4 feet of her is a very gruesome sight right now. But yeah, you see she's just kind of like wrapped. The bottom half of the heft of her long 10-foot tail is still hanging over the edge of the pit, into the pit.
Gross. Can I take out my dagger and chop off her hand, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So because she's basically drained of blood, and if you recall, as she withered away, big gobby fleshes of skin just kind of melted off of her. She reformed for a brief moment to share a moment with Divit and help him repel her curse, but then again melted away. And so, you kind of walk up and you see, again, her hands were kind of like a wrinkly old lady's hand, but now they're like a wrinkly old lady's hands with no blood in them. So it's just like the fleshy skin is like, as you touch it, it kind of like goos off and sticks to you like a thick paste. The flesh is just almost like a pancake batter, just as you touch. Easy enough, you almost, without a knife, can just burn her wrist and get the skin away, and you feel the bone where the joint meets. Still human, you're familiar with human anatomy from all the books that you read for so long in Ergon's subchamber, and you pull out your knife. You just want to give it a little saw off and cut it at the joint.
Yeah, I'm mostly interested in the claws. I want to have 5 claws for me and my friends.
Yeah.
This moment.
Nice.
From
Taking a
creepy to
moment
sweet.
to do a little thrift store shopping with the old Medusa. You're sitting there and you kind of crouch down. You don't really care. I mean, but you kind of cover it up a little bit with your shoulder as you just cut it off, and the knife cuts through the muscle tendon and everything like butter. It isn't until you reach the joint bones you kind of have to pop it, like a clamshell.
Like melted
You kind of
butter.
pop it off, and the hand splats to the ground. You see as it falls, the skin on it still, again, like a thick goo, kind of starts melting off, and it's more of like the musculature and the bone of the hand that remains that you have with you. And you see the long twisted nails that come up, that some of you felt the mire of. They're pretty savage claws, stick out about 4 inches. And you have the Medusa hand.
Nice. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
You eat it. You hear a great cry from behind you. I've got it! You turn and you see one of the big muscly guys that was actually had turned to your guys' favor during the Rockanasta. You see he's got his arms around the thick part of Brian, but the wiggly back legs of Brian, as well as the grease, like a slippery salmon in your hand when you're fishing, he just manages to whoop, whoop, whoop out of the guy's grasp. Boom! You hear a great thud as this massive dragon lands on the ground and proceeds to rush right through a bunch of chairs and cots that were set up. And you just see chairs getting knocked to the side, splintered by the massive tail of this dragon. You see Brian very much playing the part. His face is serious and he's dodging around. He does not intend to be caught. You see him disappear down the road.
He's a good boy, that Brian.
Real, you're watching as you have this creepy Medusa hand, just kind of in your hand, and you're watching as that little pack of youth, the younger boys that I guess live in this camp, are kind of palling around and punching each other. You couldn't catch him. Yeah, I could if you just seen me try. And they start pushing each other back and forth. And for a moment, you just kind of start looking at it, and you see this kind of friendship and sibling rivalry that you, as a prisoner for so long, never really experienced. And you kind of smile, and you feel even the corners of your often stern lips turn up into a little bit of a smile as you see fun for fun's sake as they trip and push and fall over each other. And slowly you feel like your feet are standing on a hot metal plate. You kind of look down, concerned for a moment, and you feel as the warmth kind of starts creeping up your legs. And even though it's intense at first, as it settles on you, you start to feel calm. And it washes over you, and you feel this warmth and contentment. And you can imagine yourself in all those moments with you and Kindly the cat, as he would come visit you, the many times you expressed a friendship with another being. You reach out and pet the cat's chin. You hear him purr. You see he looks at you with his big galaxy eyes. You see stars twirling in them. His 2 tails sitting back, floating behind you. You pick him up as he so often liked, and you nuzzle him between your left arm and your chest. And you're sitting there petting him. You feel this cold chill shoot to the base of your spine. You remember one night Ergon awoke, and though you could hear him coming, Kindly was too comfortable to get out in time, and it was the first time that Ergon caught you with this unallowed visitor, this cat, one of his other experiments, and he racked your body with pain and watched as he tortured this animal, which at the time had but one galaxy eye. And you saw as he fed dark magics into it, the other so too was consumed by this fey magical energy that exists in the eyes of Kindly. And you're sitting there petting, and you remember washing your hands over its furs. You could feel the various wounds that Ergon had inflicted, and you felt like it was all your fault. If only you'd gotten him away. Your hand stops. The cold starts to wash away. You look down, and holding the Medusa hand, you're running it over the fur of Kindly the cat. You look down in your arms, and you kind of do a double take, like, am I still in this memory? And you look down, and no, Kindly the cat has actually re-summoned, ever since the battle with Ergon. He re-summons at your side. Your familiar has returned. You see, Kindly looks up, galaxy eyes. It is good to see you again, Master. I told you I would return. It looks like a party.
It's always such a pleasure to see you too, my friend.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's always a pleasure to see you too, my friend.
You see, he suddenly takes notice of this weird, muscular, skeletal hand with long fingernails that's being, run over his coat, and you kind of stop for a second. He looks, And he starts licking himself, cleaning the fleshy muck off of his coat that you absentmindedly, wiped on him. So yeah, you see little Kindly the cat, whoop, pops back up. And yes, your two-tailed, galaxy-eyed familiar, your longtime friend in captivity, Kindly the cat, has returned.
Ooh.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy about that. Especially after that horrible memory. Jeez.
Yeah.
Can I ask Kindly something real
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna ask him and beckon over to those kids who were talking about Brian. And I'm like, you wanna make these kids stay? Old friend?
You hear what would be classified as a cat laugh in the back of your mind. Yes, master. Let us play.
Alright. Follow my lead.
You set him down, and he starts kind of skidding along with you. A normal cat, other than the fact that he has two tails and galaxy eyes. You see he begins walking off with you toward the north part where the kids are. You see him still just kind of like pushing each other around, having a good time. Brian is like slithering through all these various wood posts of the guard tower. So like people will jump in on one side, he'll be like, ah, and turn and run to the other side, and they'll jump out. But he's too slippery and just keeps getting out from between their legs and moving on to various parts of the camp.
boy. Oh.
So I wanna ask these kids and be like, do you wanna see somebody catch the dragon?
You see that? You're one of the 5. Oh, I bet you could do it. I bet you could do it. You know what? I bet the dwarf couldn't do it, but I bet you could do it. No, the dwarf would get him with easily. He wouldn't even break a sweat. And you see they start kind of like pushing each other a little bit, but yeah, they seem really into your proposition.
All right. Well, with the power of the 5 and my special little cat here, let's catch us a dragon.
All right. So you are going to be making a acrobatics check to try and utilize. Now you'll be doing it with advantage because you and Kindly, have an unspoken language between you, and he moves, with a thought. And so you using him to kind of set a distraction and an obstacle, you see he kind of spreads out away as you both kind of pincer and try to come in on Brian. But Brian isn't just going to let you catch him. So he's going to be making a escape check while you make a acrobatics check. And he is greasy. Oh no, I'm sorry. So you have advantage, but you have disadvantage because he's all greased up. So it's a wash. So no advantage, no disadvantage, but you don't have disadvantage. So go ahead and make an acrobatics check against Brian the Crocodile. Ooh, I rolled a 2. So yes, you see, you kind of like, you turn and you kind of throw a little wink at the kids, and they're like, he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. And you see Brian just hauling through this crowd. You see people almost like in a cartoon just like popping up like, whoa, 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 ah, as this massive tail just like blows people away. This big 10-foot thick crocodile tail. And he moves with the speed of a small horse, so he's cooking through town. And you finally see Kindly, look at you with his galaxy eyes. And you caught him, so how do you want to do it? How do you want to catch Brian the crocodile? Or the greased up dragon?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm gonna do a little, like a cool little whistle, like a little shoo, and Kindly's gonna shoot out Brian's snoot, and with the 2 him, momentarily wrangle that good boy.
Ooh, it got all broke up there. I'm gonna do a rare thing and ask you to repeat yourself because I bet it was cool. I'd say it came through a little choppy. What was that? Oh.
Am I coming through it all?
There we go. Yeah, we got you now, Jay. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, we're fighting with the internet gods tonight. We've got you, Jake.
It's real bad.
No, but
I'm so sorry, guys.
No, you're great. We've got you right now. So I was just saying, I was like, normally I wouldn't, but go ahead and give us a recap of what you just said. Uh-oh.
Please?
We love you. You can do it.
I'm so sorry.
Shaking off.
Oh, look at how intense his
Stop
frozen
shaking up.
face is, though.
That sounds like
He's
a good
trying
edit.
really hard.
Yeah, the guy cut the Medusa hand off, and suddenly he's frozen. Like, anybody?
Damn,
Coincidence? There we go. I got you, Jake. Are you there, Sweet Pea?
It did a lot of catching up.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so
Is it good?
yeah, I got you right now. I can hear you totally.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh no. Tonight,
anything
the
else
Ferocious
come through?
Five
Do I need to
battle
roll
Cox and Century Link.
No.
Tonight, he beats Cox.
Yeah.
All right, so Rial, you know, you whistle for Kindly the cat to jump out, and you summon your prestidigitation magics to fool. You know what distracts Brian the most? A nice tasty bit of meat. And so you start using, you know, your minor illusions to summon these chunks of meat, and he starts, you know, you see him, he's moving so fast that he kind of like skids on the ground, and he takes a bite at, again, the taunt of the illusionary meat that he's been foiled by before. He takes one bite, and then he sees the cat run by. Ooh, another tasty morsel. He goes for a snap. You see, Kindly bounces off of his nose, forcing his mouth shut. He's snapped down. You tumble over and settle yourself, almost as if riding a real dragon, a leg on either side of his shoulders, your hand in the air. The crowd erupts. Yeah! You see the kids, he caught the dragon! He actually caught the dragon! And you see Brian all happy, and he looks up and sees a friendly, familiar face, and it's just like, oh yeah! And he's just happy that everybody seems to be cheering for him. And the game is over. And you see coming from the crowd, they're like, the gift! The gift! And you see they're bringing in, it's just this like little crown made out of flowers. And they're like, you're the Dragon King! You're the Dragon King! And they place this little wreath of floral of flowers around your head. And you see a couple of the lady mercenaries are like, ooh, he's the Lord, ooh. And they're all kind of like, it's like a thing. Like, it's almost like catching the bouquet at a wedding. Like, suddenly you're the target of all the single ladies, all the single ladies. So, yeah, you kind of like, ooh, you know, you're the belle of the ball right now. You see everybody, you know, usually reserved and quiet in the back. You enjoy this nice moment in the spotlight, just ooh, shining down on you.
Hey, one of them could be my first girlfriend. Wait and see.
Hey, so did you ever live in a prison cell for 7 years? Because I did. Yeah, so this moment happens. Thoricus, you're pounding back the last of your ale. You know, yet another big cup, you know, your dwarf body, maybe half the size of your body, you know, one of these big bugbear-sized cups that you're just slamming down some hefty brew. As many warriors come, and you notice there's a custom in this tribe that they come up and they present their weapon to you. They just want to show it to you, like, hey, check out what I got. And at first, you know, not really knowing what to do, you kind of nod at one, and you see his eyes fill with joy. Oh, yes, the blessing. And he runs away. And so now, as you've kind of just been drinking a little bit, you're not having as much fun because more and more people are like starting to gather around you. You know, you're not really used to, you know, you're a stone reaver. You're used to glory being shared amongst your battalion. And so this kind of singular focus on you doesn't set with you right. Until one of the men in the crowd comes up, and he's this big, very muscular, almost Conan looking, has like a fur loincloth and just some fur boots, and that's like it, a big leather strap that hangs across him, big like young Arnold buff, you know, got the mullet with the hairband that ties back, and he looks up at you with his big square teeth, and he says, dwarf, I figured you may enjoy this. And he pulls out, and it's a beautiful, like, it's that experience when you know about weapons and somebody shows you like a clearly not real weapon, and it's like it's beautifully made. It's the woodwork on it is incredible, but the blade itself, you imagine if you like tapped it with your finger, it would shatter. You know, it's just like this decorative weapon. And you see with great beaming pride, he like shows it up and looks at you, and he looks you directly in the eyes. You know, fur cuffs around the wrist, almost a striking, you know, copy of Conan the Barbarian standing there, showing you his axe, looking at you for a response. What do you do?
Sweet Uggs, bro.
It is not Uggs. It is Hoorah.
Oh, yeah, those two. I really like, God dang, where's my beer? There it is. Sorry. Yeah, so I would say that's a beautiful weapon that obviously took you a long time to make, and I could never, ever accept anything that fancy. Speaking of, I should probably go get my girl. She's laying on the other side of the pit. So you understand from someone who knows weapons. Am I right, my guy? You should keep that. That should be passed on to your really shrimpless children.
You see, this big imposing figure, he kneels down on one knee to show you proper respect, and he holds this, decorative battle axe before you. He gives you a great smile and stands up. He says, "It is good to see another warrior." And you see, he puts his hand out for the big, the nice warrior handshake.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, so you give it to him. You see, your hand slaps, and you feel, as a strong, man yourself, a man well-hewn, made of thick muscle, and your hands, even though your dwarven arms are a little smaller, you feel a great mighty clasp. And suddenly, you remember, after a battle or a training session, back when the Stone Reavers would be done with a long day, you would end with a hearty handshake just the same way. And just before that, just after that handshake, you would all regale with ale and unwind. And so in this moment, sharing the strong grasp of another man who spent a long time perfecting his body, you feel that might, and it starts to feel like a warm glow over your arm. And slowly it starts to overtake you. And at first you start pulling your hand away, and you realize everything around you is frozen in time. You're the only thing moving, and this light going up your arm. So you try pulling away, but he's unable to move because his hand, like stone, is frozen in this moment. As the warmth overtakes you, you feel this magnanimous glow inside. You feel like you're sitting next to the warmest hearth at your favorite inn back in Kulmara, long before you were banished for the death of Beckus Greathelm. The name rolls in your mind. Beckus Greathelm. You remember your father figure, not your father by biological means, but the man that taught you how to be a man. Your commander, the great name Beckus Grumblehelm, leader of the Stone Reavers, the strongest military on the North Shore. You remember many times he would take you after these long battles and teach you the finer details of war, calligraphy, how to write letters that would intimidate, and the finer points of all of battle, teaching you how important position and movement and strategy is on the battlefield. A love of this strategy has led you to become the battle master that you are to this day. And you remember seeing him in that forest as Sithis, his true form, broke out, and you see this great shadow demon with black, long fingers stab them directly through the body of Beckus. And as they do, you feeling like they're injecting into your own spine, you feel a cold rush. Cut through the warmth. You're freezing and cold. The moment is still frozen. Your arm out is still in front of you. And you see Beckus in the memory turn and look at you. I'm in the forest, boy. I will see you in the Mirkwood. Like a sunbeam, suddenly you feel that warmth wrap over you again, and you kind of stumble back, and you can see the big Conan guy's like looking at you, and he looks kind of confused. He doesn't know what just happened to you. And you see he kind of takes his hand away as if he offered you some insult or something.
Sorry about that. It's just been a long time since I've shook hands with the great warrior.
Tonight we feast.
Yes.
Come to the fire. And you see he starts walking, and a couple of the guys that are still in line are like, "Hey man, I wanted to show him my weapon too." But he kind of puts his arm around you, and you guys kind of he starts ushering you over toward like where the big fire is being prepared.
Hey man, I'm really just wanted to. Okay, bye.
I've got these gloves, and I thought,
Later.
All right, Brenor, the four of you, kind of start, you see, the crowd gathering down. You see Divit is still kind of hanging out with that big group of people that he has charmed. We cut over. Divit, you see, as Thoricus is kind of returning back, you see Rial coming back as well, and the small cat, Brian, the crocodile, slithering up. They're all kind of gathering around where Brenor is. But Divit, you've got this big group of people with you. You look around, you see Thoricus, you see Rial, you see Brenor, and you see the crowd of people that are under the effects of your magic. What do you do?
I'm like, aren't we having a good time? Like,
You see they start kind of bouncing off each other.
I'm trying to get sideways this evening, gentlemen. What do you do for fun around here?
And then you hear the chant change. JuBu, 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 JuBu. The faces on all the people around you start lighting up. JuBu,
that sounds
JuBu.
cool.
Bring the JuBu, bring the JuBu for Divit. Boom, you see all of a sudden this guy rolls up, and he's got this wine skin. And it's like nice and thick, you know, an animal fur for sure, but it's stuffed with this flowing liquid. And as he pops the cap, you see a little squirt of thick green liquid pop out of it. JuBu Juice, JuBu Juice, JuBu Juice. And you see they hand it around, and one of them just takes a big squirt into his mouth. And his eyes go wild. And he just starts having this like insanely personal dance off with himself, just writhing in this pure bliss. His eyes roll in the back of his head, and you see as he waves his hand, it's like he can watch some trails trickle off of them. And so everything that he does, he kind of watches after it happens, and he seems completely in this wash of just his own, you know, feelings and intent right now. You see the bag tosses up in the air, and as a guy goes to grab for it, you with your, you know, party boy dexterity, grab it out of the sky. You've got the wineskin of JuBu Juice. What do you do?
Oh my god.
Okay, so I grab the juice, and I look at the guy who gave it to me, right? Did he take any?
The guy that, yes, the
took a
guy, the
little-
last guy that touched it is the dude that's all like in it right now.
Okay, alright, so I grab the juice, and I also reach into my little pouch, and I grab one of my, like, little mushroom caps. And I'm like, I want to be, like, clear that I will rise to your occasion, and also I will raise the stakes.
Oh my
And
god.
Okay. Sorry, guys. 1 sec. We actually lost everybody. It appears that Skype has crashed. I'm just singing along to the music right now. I'm gonna join this call.
You got me?
Dude, your jam was so dope. It broke the internet.
It broke the internet.
Yeah, broke it. The
Well, wood.
whole
Alright,
internet.
so I put the cap on my tongue, and I start chewing it up, and then I squirt the juice in my mouth to wash it down.
Oh,
All right.
that's crazy.
All right, so what's that? Oh, we still don't have Jake. Hey guys, let's do our Summon Jake song.
Oh.
We are summoning Jake. We are
Jake.
summoning
Jake.
Jake. We are summoning Jake. We are summoning
Take this,
Jake.
Cox.
We are
Yeah.
summoning
Take this,
Jake.
Century Link.
We are summoning
Ha
Jake. We are summoning Jake. We are summoning Jake.
Sometimes,
Jake, come back.
some say Jake only comes if you believe in Jake. Guys, you've got to believe in Jake.
We have to Jake off. Everybody
Let's start
Jake
jaking off, guys.
Everybody. In the. Alright.
Jake Jailer.
Jake off.
Jake
Everybody
off.
Jake off.
We were having a
Everybody
dance
Jake
moment.
off.
I'm in it. I want to be that dude, man. We're still having a good time. All right, so it looks like for some reason we have lost our man Jake. Are we?
Rihanna got really into the 70s and nobody ever saw him again.
That's
Hey,
well, you have one hit of that JuBu Juice, bro, and you are done.
done.
You're done.
Donezo. You see
Smoke
Brian.
Change his
marijuana
life, yeah.
once. Never
I took too
again.
much, man. I took too much.
Yeah, you peaked. You
I
caught
hope
Brian.
I'm super gay now.
Nice.
Oh man. All right. Well,
There he is.
yes.
There he is.
Yay.
Because
No
you
way.
believed in
Oh my
Jake,
God.
Jake has returned.
Yay,
Yes.
Jake.
Jake Cookie, you're here. Don't look sad.
He's back.
He is
He
back.
is.
I
Summoned
don't know
from the
if he
darkness,
knows that he's back.
Jake has
Is
returned.
it working?
You're
Yeah.
here. You're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
We're seeing you.
We see you.
Oh.
We missed you.
Now he's
We
froze
see
again.
you.
This is,
Oh my god.
Oh,
there we go.
Wait.
Is it working?
Yes.
Yes, he's there.
There's Jake. It works for a small.
Oh, yes, yes. I
You're
see
with
him.
us, brother.
He's moving.
There we go. Well,
The
This is,
sound seems to not be getting to him. I don't ever have.
this is what happens when we can't all
I'm
be in a
here.
room together.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, we're doing it live. We're doing
Yeah,
it live.
we got this.
All right, guys.
Everyone's real cool about it. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm loving.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
little dance
They-
off with
they're
my
showing
friends.
good
time. Even
The
have a-
buds were
Yeah.
chilling. We
Chill.
are good. We'll
We're
see
all
what happens
chill.
with that. We'll see what
Making
this looks
jokes.
like. We'll all joke about this later when we're all here and laughing about this.
Yes. In each other's
LOL.
faces.
Well, Jake,
Breathing on each other.
All
Right.
right.
Fucking Mercury and retrograde, man. What the fuck?
Through the magic of Dungeons and Dragons, we return as the sun shoots a beam of light down on the hand of Divit, the mushroom picker from South Rock. You see as he pulls his gnomish mushroom that he keeps in his small mushroom pouch out, it gleams with a green and pink energy as he uncorks the top of the wineskin, throwing it in. All the onlookers, no way, are just like blown away that you would even try to add to the JuBu Juice experience. As you see the one guy is still just like riding it out, man. You've never seen anybody in so much joy in your life, but his eyes and mouth seem to be existing in a different timeline as he contorts and makes strange faces, watching as all these illusionary effects seem to be occurring around him. Here we go, Divot. You've got the wineskin. What do you do?
So I already took some, right?
So no, I'm sorry. I was just bringing us back from our big Skype fail.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I have the mushroom in my mouth, right? And then I squirt the stuff in my mouth on the mushroom and use it to like wash the mushroom down, and then just like throw the flask up in the air. And I have the staff in my other hand that they gave me, and I'm like,
Gabe?
JuBu Juice, rocka, juicy bougie.
There it is.
Divot, you reach the staff up to the sky. You know, you're almost going to shatter the glass vial with the stick as it raises up above you. And you start reaching forward, and you see as the wooden staff, you know, with its the big bulbous top that has those beads in it, starts pushing up in the sky. Suddenly, you start seeing waves of energy, and everything slows to like 1/100th speed. You see the staff, your mouth agape, as you feel the strange contorting energy as reality around you starts bending. You feel as it bends, so too does your body. You start feeling as like the spirit starts just channeling through as your fingertips start cascading light waterfalls as you start moving. The staff still frozen in the sky, moving at super slow speed while you start moving faster. But suddenly, you know, being the proficient tripper that you are, you feel that bardic energy and you start bending it. And you start feeling control over it, like watching somebody that's like really dope or liquid in a rave. You start balancing this energy and you start throwing these images around. Colorful lights bursting off you. You see small like butterflies and fairies start flying away from your fingertips, each one of them leaving an echo trail of visual behind them when they do. And you just start frying out super hard. You see the grass and the ground breathing you in. You feel as the air of all the people around you going in and out of their lungs is this wind that pushes you around, and you continue to feel that wave just drive your body. Suddenly, you feel control over it. Your hand reaches up. You feel all that energy focus in your hand, and you pull out your drum. And you beat down on it, and this giant dragon head climbs for this giant red illusionary dragon comes up, and all of you guys see this except for Tina for obvious reasons. see this giant red dragon twirling into the sky. All of a sudden, all those frantic, strange moments become this ridiculously fast energy that he's drumming this amazing beat that's pulling this illusion from the drum. You see the dragon go in the sky, breathe a great, blinding golden yellow fire, and then disappear as Divit stops. You see the energy kind of coursing in your fingertips, and you hear the crackled voice of Ubre the Calloused. So, boy, mastered the JuBu Juice, have you? Well, Ubre the Calloused. And you see she raises her hand, and the thick patches of dead skin all over her hands, are just crumbling and almost ready to peel off. It's a pretty grisly sight. You see she says, Ubre the Calloused. And she crushes her hand, and just chunks of dead skin start falling off of her hand. And she opens them with new dexterity, and you see thick cracks that go down to where her actual skin is. And you see two shamanastas with their dark hair that hangs down over their face, one of them each handing her a mallet. You see she holds them in both hands, and a smile crosses her face. A third shamanasta walks up with a wineskin and squirts it in her mouth. You see Ubre, just like you, start being controlled by this energy. She starts to, you feel the same call to match her as your body starts to flail as well. And suddenly, she gains control and it goes to the sticks.
Are we about to have a dance-off?
What's that?
Are we about to have a dance-off?
So, the immense magical mushroom rock battle has begun. You see Ubre beats on the drum, and this big wave of purple energy washes out, and it becomes an actual physical wave of water. And as the waves crash on what would be the ground, each of them turns into a little merman. And so you see these little guys with like webbed feet and fish tails and webbed hands kind of slithering on the ground away from this purple wave. And as she continues her trance, these great surging waves of magical energy smash against each other and then turn into these merfolk, splash, and suddenly it's like they're all swimming, thousands of merfolk swimming in this harmonious display as the spiral of water just grows, and it becomes so thick with energy that you can barely look at it. And then you hear the drums drop. You see all the people in attendance, very familiar. You see they all raise their hands in the air. She's calling for it. You see they all start shaking and shaking. Boom! She brings the drum down. Yeah! Everybody starts dancing as the entire cyclone of water splashes out over everybody. You feel, Brennor specifically, you feel the actual splash of an ocean on your face. You taste a little bit of salt on your lips. What kind of illusion could this be? You see the water summon all the way back into one energy flow and back into the sticks of Ubre, who stares at you, Divit, challengingly.
Oh my god.
So what would you like to do,
brother.
Divit?
Alright. Well, first of all, I would like to use my mantle of inspiration to take the form of the six-eyed bear.
The six, sorry.
Right?
Yes, the
So
six-eyed
I'm gonna do
bear.
that.
Couldn't remember.
Throwback.
Miss him.
We'll call it a bareback.
Bear.
R.I.P. Martha.
Back now.
So I want to do that.
Boom! You
And
guys
thi-
see this big, brilliant, blinding flash of light as this big, massive bear form grows out of the glowing figure of Divit. You see him standing there, the six-eyed bear, a row of six eyes. Only one mouth and nose, though, so his head, he's got like a 5 or 6 head. His eyes stick up, menacing, snarling, standing 10 feet tall. This big, giant, six-eyed bear. The drum again calling for you, Gus. What do you do?
So, the giant six-eyed bear Divot grabs the drum and sees all the water everywhere, right? And starts beating the drum so hard that it drives the water like into a circle and creates like a kind of like cyclone thing, right?
Sandstorm.
And he's just like beating it like while it's like up into the air, right? And then like as soon as it like turns into like the like perfect spiral or whatever, it just shoots straight up and like and turns into rain for like everybody.
Chocolate rain.
So rather than the violent wave crash from the song of Ubre the Calloused, you see this great cloud of beaming energy swell from inside this tornado of water. And as it reaches up, it bursts with magical energy, and you feel the soft, gentle drizzle of a spring afternoon day. And the sun just gleams on the water and it warms when it touches your skin. And each of you kind of feel that same warm glow that you felt before. Not quite as intense, but a similar feeling. As it washes over, you see the crowd. You all start cheering. Suddenly
and I,
you see your
don't
hands.
miss the beat at all.
Yeah,
Just like
boom. Dude, so you see as you keep playing, rather than stop, you see Ubre, looks at you as well and you see her head start moving to your beat.
She's feeling it.
You see the swelling energy of her drum once more. Boom! She hits the drum, and this big yellow arc of energy, like a shark's fin, starts cutting across the ground. And it bursts out, and it's an angel. These long golden wings shoot back and trail 10 feet behind this muscular form that's wrapped in golden robes. You see it riding in the sky, and it has in its left arm this harp. And it starts playing this harp music as it swirls around, and she is simultaneously playing the drums and the harp with the magic of her drums. Even as a bard, you've never really seen this kind of manipulation of performance energy anymore.
Right.
Surely this is something supernatural. So,
okay.
But now you guys are kind of fusing together. So that's what you see. You've got this glimmering rain. These golden clouds are in the sky, and now this beaming angel is like riding up toward them with wings spread back, shooting up into a beaming, blinding sunlight beam. What do you do?
I want to prestidigitate some tiny little, I want them to look massive but be tiny, like orcs.
Uh-huh.
And I want them to have a catapult. And I'm gonna, while I'm playing, flip some of my mushrooms down into the catapult and have them shoot it right into her mouth.
Oh! All right. Normally I would have you make an attack, but she is quite willing to accept your boon to the challenge. You start playing and you see the mushrooms from the catapult, and they're actually not super accurate, but you see as she's playing and orchestrating this harp, she seems to be like hop, 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 and manages to catch and eat all 3 of them. Hop, hop.
She's on
And
board.
she's chewing, and then you see her eyes just start going super fast. And suddenly, like a breeze is pushing out from beside her, and she starts kind of looking at her own hands like she doesn't even know what to do with this. And she takes her sticks, boom, and beats down, and this big giant burst of energy blows her away from her drums. You see, she flies back. Everybody nearby is pushed back, and she flies nearly 20 feet through the air. As she's just about to land, you're worried she's like this old, frail old lady. Just before she hits the ground, you see the guy with the dark black bow, like baseball slide and help catch her body. You see he looks up with his little ninja eyes and he's staring forward. You see Ubre shaking a little bit. She looks up and her eyes stop, and her movement calms, and she looks at you. Ooh, boy. That ride was a little too hard for this old woman. What a spectacle! Divit, the light bender! Shh, and you see everybody, yeah, except for the ninja guy. He doesn't seem to be too impressed. Shouts out, yes! In glorious retribution, you feel the quick come down of a DMT trip, or so I'm told by this book that I'm reading. It kind of just starts washing. Ooh, you feel the surge. The JuBu Juice is fading out, but you've taken these stone rock mushrooms before. You still have quite a bit of a ride left with those. So
I grab her hand, and in a game recognized game moment, I hold it up, and I'm just like, because that was cool.
That was
did
super
some cool stuff.
Yeah, I love bards. All right, and so you see she's looking at you see and she kind of gets herself up. The dark dressed, the ninja looking guy trying to help her up, and she kind of pushes him off. And she's manages to stand herself up, and she looks at you, and in mutual respect, she holds out both of her sticks and dips her head down. And the crowd just like, oh, what a tender moment. Like you feel the ripples of both of your euphoria start spilling in the way that it so often does when the five are in these moods. You see this ripple effect start washing off of you. And you see people smiling, and all of a sudden their eyes start getting a little weird and foggy, as if somehow channeling through you, you have this aura of intoxication around you. So everybody pretty much that's close to Divit is getting messed up. So if you are near Divit, you are overtaken by magical intoxication. If you're still a little ways off, you're fine. You can be honest about which way you want to do that. But you see,
definitely
go
want
ahead.
to party. I said I definitely want to party with these guys, but on my last turn, I did want to walk over and make sure I picked up Lucille. But I don't know
Lucille. Ooh, sorry, Lucille.
I already grabbed it for you, bud.
Oh,
yeah, Lucille was given to you by best friend just before your. Well, let's not call it an epic speech. Before that thing when you were in front of all the where where you picked up the. He gave you Lucille. You have Lucille.
Okay, good. I did.
Yeah.
I just thought you were trying to back out of that conversation, so I was like, I won't bring this up just yet. He's got this.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you got Lucille. Rial handed it to you just before your.
Then let's party.
Inspiring words.
Come on up.
Am I frozen still in the cell with Mithra? Am I frozen?
Yes, Tina, you are still seeing nothing but darkness in this moment. As you kind of we pan into your mind, you're just basically floating in a still nothingness. The sharp, piercing coldness of the needles that put you in this way are no longer there. You don't feel warm, you don't feel cold, you in fact don't feel anything at all. And so it's just, you're floating in a complete infinite void of nothing right now. You just feel the absolute absence of anything.
Now, do any of us notice that by this time that she hasn't been around in
Yeah,
a
let's
little while?
let's because she had cleverly concocted such a ruse. Let me go ahead and get some perception checks from you guys. Anybody that's inquiring about finding her. Go ahead and make a
I want to offer drugs to the rest of the five and notice that she's not there.
Okay, yeah. So go ahead, Divit. Make your perception check with advantage. Thoricus, you're kind of looking around. It's a big gathering. People are kind of coming and going all over the place. You see some drinking contests and some boxing matches and various feat. Some an archery contest. You see an archery contest and just all kinds of little feats of prowess things popping up around you. So it's kind of hard to track where anybody is. How did you do? I'm not.
Oh, did you need me to do a perception check?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was going to, but then I thought you were going to be like, nah, you're just too busy looking at shit.
Well, with your
Fuck.
one, you are too busy looking at that. You are actually right, but get that
That's
one
why I
out of
was
the way, bro. So no, you're kind of looking around. You keep looking over your shoulder to see if you can see her, but there's always a trail of guys following you around with their weapons. So you're just oh god, I can't really, it's the big giant Conan-looking guy has his arm around, not tight or anything, but just kind of is guiding you toward the ceremonial fire area. in a friendly way. It's not like he's like taking you
Right,
to your
not
Jew
like,
version.
here's where we roast the dwarf.
Yeah, yeah. In my country, we roast dwarves.
I wanna take a look around and see like where.
Yeah, Brenor,
she
you
is.
did well enough. Divot, so did you with your advantage. You had a 20, Brenor. You notice the Rial don't. You do not. But yeah, the two of you, Divot and Brunor, you kind of bump into each other at the same time. Divot, you're going around with the JuBu Juice, and you see Brunor, and you kind of go to offer it to her, and then both of you kind of have the same thought at the same time. Like it's like, wait. And you look around and you see Thoricus, heading over toward the ceremonial fire. You see Rial hanging out kind of by Brian and that group of people still kind of like lording his accomplishment. And so keenly, suddenly aware that Tina Smoothhands is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, when was the last time that you saw Tina?
When she was looking really rough in that large group of people.
I didn't see that.
Boop, boop, boop. Sorry, I'm a little fucked up. Yeah, no,
That's
she didn't look
alright.
good.
No, you're good. You're good. I think we should try to look for her or something.
We should
See if
definitely
anybody's
find
seen
her.
her.
Beat up, boop.
Yeah.
We should find her.
Yep, we will. I think I want to tell Rial too that we need to find her.
All right, so yeah, Rial, you kind of see them like talking with each other, and then they kind of like
Sorry.
gesture you over. You can see in Divot's face, he's still, he's not super blasted like he was, but he's still riding a pretty good South Rock mushroom trip right now. So his face is kind of sweaty, and he's just kind of like, looking at you a little bit. But yeah, you see they all kind of gather you over.
Guys, so we gestured. Jake's over here now.
Yeah.
Rial. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go over? Okay. Rial, we can't find Tina.
Can you save me from Arnold? Can I be invited to this?
You see he's standing awkwardly close still. He's like, I'll be right there.
Okay, I'm gonna look over. Yeah, I'm
I'm
look
still a
over
bear
the
person,
and
by the
be
way.
like,
Oh, right.
Can I cast sending to Brenner?
Currently, no. You are unconscious, so you do not have your spell access right now.
So I'm gonna like
That
wave
would've
over
been
to
cool.
Thoricus and be like, hey,
So,
come over here. Hey, tell that guy to fuck off and come over here.
Big
Arnold,
giant guy, from Square Teeth.
yeah.
Please,
Yeah,
please fuck off.
right.
Please
I'm
fuck off
gonna
and come
go with
over here.
My friends real quick. We gotta talk about something. Get to the chopper, and I'll be over here.
Are we all
Thank
together
you.
now?
Thank you very much. All right, so yeah, I'll be back. You see, just kind of like, yes, goes off and grabs another guy that you can tell probably doesn't really want to be hanging out with him either, and just like sticks himself to him, and they start wandering off in search of ale, no doubt. Yeah, so the four of you guys kind of come together, and now, even those of you that didn't do so well on your perception, suddenly, it's pretty clear that the four of you are together, and someone is missing. You start looking around camp a little bit, and you don't notice anything that sticks out as far as like a dangerous, a group of people that seems out of place. Like I said, there's various like feats of strength and games happening. You see people are playing like some of those like dangerous knife games, and it's just kind of like a rowdy event where a lot of people are pretty intoxicated. As you can see, as Divot moves around, literally like there's a sphere of magical intoxication, and as you guys are standing there in this group with him, you're starting to feel it wash over you too. So you like look over and suddenly you'll see Divot's face like phase out and phase back in, and all of your eyes are kind of like twitching back and forth as you feel this magical intoxication brought on by the combination of these mushrooms and this JuBu Juice. And you guys are just like starting to feel it. So it's like you're fighting through this thing to try to like maintain a normal conversation.
Right. So the last time that I saw her, she was. I thought she was with us. I thought she was drinking. I thought she was hanging out over by the side of that building. She went around it, maybe.
Where did we get here from? Can we retrace our steps?
So
Marcus,
to answer
the
that,
feats of strength.
Oh, right. The great strength of feet.
strength of feet.
What?
So
Tenna has
this
strong feet. We were
Wait.
looking at Tenna.
Wait, what if Brian can help us find her? Do we have anything that smells like her?
My ass. I'm kidding.
In a
Oh my
weird
God,
moment,
yeah,
you all
yeah.
consider the scent of Tina Smoothhands, and if you have anything of hers that may smell
I
like
bet
that.
she smells like sweet.
Not that I know of. If you guys have something that makes sense, but I don't. Not that I know of. I don't think any of you have something that belongs to her.
Smell stuff.
I can just ask him. I can totally ask him if he can find her or help us find her.
In
Can
the
we just
meantime-
know her?
All right, so using
friend.
your sea elf ability to kind of use gestures to communicate with Brian, you see, as he's still just kind of like wearing off from being all tired from being chased for a while. You see, he looks at you and he seems to understand what you're saying. And he's like looking around, and he just picks a direction where the mud looks the softest, and he kind of paddles his way along the ground, seemingly following your instruction, looking for Tina. He slithers off, kind of over here to the to like the east side. Bruno, you're kind of standing. You saw, I'm sorry, everybody, over here by the fireplace. This is where you kind of saw her originally. And then you also saw a few moments later, those of you that witnessed it, the other one kind of started to walk over into this area. So, it's like the last time you've seen her would be on this left side of the map. You've got a couple like randomly empty looking, spiked animal hide tents set up. You can kind of see, like I said, the chieftain area, the Grand Goro's camp is this big one here. But yeah, so it's you don't have a specific clue other than generally the direction is probably on this west side somewhere. You look around and you see the same things described before. Kind of to the southeast is there's that guard tower. Next to that is kind of the religious place. There's a prison area down here bottom left, and then another guard tower kind of over in this area. So. Do you guys want to split up, or how do you want to go ahead and approach trying to find Tina?
Can I just yell like?
Well, I was
really
gonna say,
loud to
yeah,
all
I
the
was gonna be
fucked up
like-
people like. Has anybody seen the?
Right.
The halfling.
So we never talked about it, but she's like the pinky of the 5 fingers of the 5.
Right, she's like the smallest
Dorcas
one.
is the thumb.
Aww.
She's.
Thumicus.
I don't know, but you know what I'm. And I just like keep talking to the party people.
Everybody's just like having a good time with you and everything as that progresses, and suddenly Real, you feel this weird ping. You feel kind of drawn. You're on the far side. You guys are all gathered up together here. You feel this, wave of intoxication. You even look down and you see Kindly the cat has just kind of like given up trying to walk, and it's just like laying on the side. You see the galaxies. There's just like more and more stars. You even see like a shooting comet inside one of them. Like, this cat is fucked up, and so he's just like laying there. This small little animal, just like, "Oh yes, good to see you as always, sir." Ooh, and he's just like laying, just having a good like a catnip session, rolling down on your ankle. But suddenly you like look up and you see the prison area, and you just kind of feel this like tug. And the last time you felt this tug was when you stood before the temple of Era's Duel, and you remember the laughter of Ergon. For a moment, you can't tell if it's the memory of his laugh or the laugh itself that you hear. But again, you feel the tug as you start kind of moving toward the prison area. What do you want to do?
I want to call out to my friends. I want to tell them I sense some dark magic coming from the prison area.
So you see Real, kind of reaches out for you guys. All of you are still kind of like you're hanging out on a waterbed a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, all right. And you're seeing these, crazy visuals, and faces are melting. And if there was a mirror around, you would stare into it for like 2 hours and ruin the whole thing. Trust me, don't do it. Anyway, so you guys are just like, kind of like vibing with each other. And you do, you manage to like reach through and finally get your bearings. And you see Real's face kind of drops, and he, speaks of the feeling of that darkness. And you all kind of catch yourself and look at him, and he gestures. He says that he felt the call from the prison room.
Tina's being held prisoner. I can feel it.
Let's
go. We gotta go get her.
Let's go right this way.
go.
You guys all start walking. Ooh, whoa. You see the ground before you stretch out really far in front of you. And it shrinks back really close. And you're not sure if it's been 5 seconds or 5 minutes. And you're just kind of like looking around. And, you know, Tina is suddenly floating in that darkness. And Tina, it seems like at the edge of your sight in this void of nothing, you start to see the shadowy form coming together in front of you. Back to you guys. One of you, Brenor, throws up on the ground.
Booted.
You know, you see you're like checking you're like, did I take anything? I don't think I did yet. You know what I mean? And no, it's just this magical euphoria and intoxication flowing off of your powerful friend, Divit, as you all kind of like swim walk your way down the road that in front of you seems to twist left and right. You're not really sure where your center of balance is. More often than not, you find yourselves leaning on each other and just kind of smiling and laughing. And randomly, one of you will remember where you're trying to go, and you'll be like, "No, this way!" And you all, yes, and you're all kind of fighting through this urge to just like let go and dance and flow and just be a part of this energy that flows off of Divit. You guys start walking toward. You see the standing where the guard, you know, that you had noticed earlier would be. There is no guard standing out front of the prison cells. Tina, you're staring forward. You see the shadowy form start continuing manifesting into this giant, huge, like 40-foot tall, shadowy beast. Looks like the giant shadow storm dragon. You start hearing this insane laughter. You hear this sound start drifting all around you. You look forward, the shadow begins melting down smaller and smaller as the rolling clouds of smoke push inward and become smaller and smaller as he moves closer and closer to you. You try to move your body, you cannot move. You're still just floating in this void as the shadowy figure walks before you. You guys get to the doorway and you kind of push aside the red curtain that's hanging there, and you see laying on the ground, racked in what looks like terrible pain, Tina Smooth Hands, laying on the ground. Her shoulders are hunched, her wrists curled up. You can see it's almost like if she was a soda can, somebody crushed her a little bit. And she's just like a broken bird, this small, vulnerable Tina, laying on the ground. And all of you in shock stare at her. Real, you feel the tug. You start moving forward. Tina, you see the shadowy figure continues getting closer and closer to you. And finally, it's where it was 40 feet tall. Now it's 20 feet tall, and it's 100 feet away from you. And each moment, these swirling, powerful, dark, magical clouds get turned and bent inward on themselves as you can feel the gravity of this singularity pushing in front of you. It's almost like you're being pulled by a black hole forming right in before you. Real, you step forward, your right foot moves. You kind of look. The whole party has seen this before. Real moved without doing it. The tension, suddenly you all feel that cold chill in your spine. You all take a deep breath. Tina, the shadowy form, moves closer and closer to you. Finally, it stands a mere 10 feet away. The energy and the smoke so bent that you can feel your skin almost pulling away from your face. So intense, the gravity, the pull of this black forming chasm in front of you. And in a moment, it takes the shape of this shadowy armored figure. You saw him once before when you freed the great druid Achaeus. This is Sithis. This big, giant, massive, buff body, shirtless with these flowy, puffy black pants. And rather than muscle, it's the strong, bending force of these clouds that moves before you as he continues to get smaller and smaller. And you remember him being 15 feet tall. He's now standing about 5 feet, 10 inches tall. And just as he starts to reach out to you, you see the shadow of his face start pulling back. Black magical energy stretching and snapping. Real, you fall forward. You grab Tina and you begin straightening her up, and you start staring her in the eyes. Tina, the shadow figure, Synthesis, grabs you by the shoulders. The face continues pulling back, and suddenly you see the sharp face and long ears of Rial Othravan, with a shadowy, smoky body of Synthesis burning all around him. In a moment, you can't breathe, and just as you finally go to gasp for air, we pick it up there next week.
Son of a bitch! I was high when I said that.
Oh.
I just need a sec. I'm sorry, guys. I just need a
The
sec.
worst party ever.
I thought you said we
wanted
were
to
gonna
get
go like.
high. I wanted to try the fancy juice.
I didn't even throw up yet.
Juice is loose.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh. Sorry, guys. I needed a second. Whew. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thank you for everybody on Twitch. Definitely check out Getting Higher with WeeDnD on YouTube. We are going to be bringing so much cool stuff, and we cannot wait until we are all together to bring it to you the way we want to. But for now, thank you so much for just joining us as we do this thing that we love, and we just being with these people and being with you people. It's just so good. Thanks to everybody who supports the show, be it through subscriptions, financially, or just by taking the time to be here. It means the world to us. This has been a salvation for me, and I know a lot of us, it's such a gleaming light for us right now. So thank you. We love you. I love my cast. That was amazing. What a fun little ride that was. I can't wait to jump back there. But here we go, guys. I say we close it up proper. We like to end things the same way that we start them, with our little ritual. Let's grab yourself a lighter. Mine is different this time. I don't even know how that happened. And we go. Lighters up. Thanks for playing D&D, guys. I love you. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. here on Twitch. Mwah! Oh, man.
Oh, fuck.
Right? Right.
So what? You can't touch me, 'cause I'm from the